All right, everyone. Good evening. Without further ado, my name is Linda Oglesby, and I am the committee manager over here at the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for another one of our A Day in the Life series with our student networks. I will hand this over to Isha, our co-chair, to talk to you a little bit about tonight.
Hi guys, I'm Isha. Thank you all for coming today for the Day in the Life series for May. So today we're going to be looking into the technology field, especially a tech founder, an IT professional. Let me introduce Tim Pabich. I think I pronounced that right.
You got it.
Great. He is the founder and CEO of Magnitech, an award-winning Naperville managed IT service provider that implements full-service business IT services to small and medium-sized businesses. So he is great for helping us in learning about the technology field, especially being a CEO and founder. He is also on the board of directors for Ajax FC Naperville, a Naperville-based youth travel soccer club, as well as the Career and Network Center from Naperville. He's also on the advisory board for Kids Matter and was awarded the prestigious 4 Under 40 award by the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce. So without further ado, let me introduce Tim.
Thank you, Isha. I appreciate that. And also, I've recently my bio is a little bit dated, but I've also recently been added to the board of directors for the Naperville Heritage Society, which is the Naper Settlement. So if anyone's ever been to the Naper Nights or some of the events over there, the Naper Settlement really does a good job all summer long, all year long, really, of good programming. So that's one other piece. So I think, it looks to me like we've got a handful of folks here. I guess what I would, feel free if you're comfortable and I, call out your name. I'd be interested in knowing, what school you go to, which high school you're attending, because I imagine we've got Nequa, we've got Naperville North, Naperville Central. Any other schools? Wabanzi, Mattia, are they all involved here? Bennett, or what do we have here, Linda?
Yep, all those regional schools are involved. If anyone else that we didn't mention, feel free.
Okay. Yeah, and I think really what I would like to do is, find out what everybody here would like to gain from this. You could ask me anything throughout this thing. I have a small slide deck, a handful of slides, no big deal. We'll kind of just go through those quickly and just give you a little bit of an idea of what my company does and what we do for small, mid-sized companies and how we serve the community and some of our values, the things that matter to us. And then, but really I would like to shift it to you because you guys are here to get a general idea or get an understanding of what I do and what our company does. As you start to think about life after school, you guys are going to eventually move on and not be students anymore, but eventually you're going to start a professional career. And anything I can do to give you a little bit of an idea of what it's like day to day at my place should give you some sort of an idea. So is it safe to assume that everybody here is interested in technology?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Good. So Isha, I take it you're a student?
Yes, okay. I am.
Everyone looks young to me because I'm getting old. So, what school do you go to? We'll start with you.
Okay, I go to Naperville North, and I am currently a junior, going to be a senior next year.
Okay, great. And I guess what are you looking to gain from this this hour?
So I'm kind of looking your journey to where you are now, because as high school students, we kind of want to understand because we're kind of curious on our future. So I definitely think with the technology thing, it's kind of like everyone's like technology. So what really is it? What can you tell us about working in that field, and especially the community in Naperville, how you've been helping them, and something that we can gain through your experience and just to feel. So if we're interested, we can contact you and learn for them more.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, if it's okay, if you guys, I might just call a name out, and if you want to unmute and just go ahead and just tell me the same thing. I guess we'll go alphabetical. Is it Eliza? I think I got that right. Maybe wrong. No? All right. How about we'll come back to you. How about Izzy? I see Izzy here. Would you want to? Yeah. Hi.
Oh, sorry. I'm Izzy. I'm a junior at Naperville North. I'm really here just because I don't really know anything about tech or IT. I just thought it would be interesting to get to learn more about that field and see if it's, yeah.
Something you want to consider going into? Okay.
Potentially, I don't know.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. I'll just start off by saying, like, at my company, we've got about 25 people, and not everybody's got a technical background. So just like any organization, we've got people that know there's somebody who knows marketing. We've got salespeople. We've got people in finance, operations, so running day to day, making sure things are working. Account management, which is like customer service. And then we've got our technical people. So we've got our level 1 technicians, which are generally your people with like 0 years of experience to maybe 5 years experience. And then we've got what we call level 2, which is someone that's 6 years to, let's say, to 10. And then beyond that, you're looking at like more advanced, right? So it's no matter what major you decide to take on in college, you could apply that knowledge to any company, including mine. So I don't want people to think, I mean, the field that we're in is technology, but don't think that you have to be technical or you can't work at a company like mine. So just so you guys understand that, okay? My company has the same needs like any other company, but thank you for that. Thank you, Izzy. I see Joyce. Joyce. No? Okay, well, we'll come back to you. Samantha.
Oh, hi.
Oh, Joyce,
Sorry.
there you are. Cool.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Yeah, you want to know my background? Is that what it is?
Oh, no, yeah, I was just,
Sorry.
yeah, are you currently in school?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not? Okay, that's
No.
fine. What could I offer you in this hour? Like, what exactly is, what would you be looking to pick up and gain from this session?
Well, actually, I'm a chamber member, so
Okay.
chamber
All
of
right. Oh,
commerce. So I
that's
just
right.
signed up for the So that's
Okay.
what it is. Yeah. Good
Okay.
evening, Tim. I think we're connected. Yeah.
Yeah, I recognize your name now. Okay. Yeah, just
Yeah.
sometimes you see the light bulb's going off. I remember. Okay, cool. Thanks, Joyce, for coming.
All right.
Samantha. Okay. Well, all right. That's fine. No pressure. That's fine. And then I see, is it Yutong? Did I say that right? Oh, okay. Here we go. Sophomore at Naperville North, interested in majoring in computer science. Great. The bubble went away before I had a chance to read it all. I also want to see what your day-to-day life looks like. Perfect. All right, cool. Well, I would like to say I'm very interesting. I'm not that interesting, but I will tell you day-to-day what I do. Yeah, absolutely. We'll get there. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Sophomore. Okay, great. So you got a little more time, but you're halfway there, right? So you got 2 more years. That's good. You guys, I think that, I've toured Naperville North. I live actually on the south end of Naperville, so I've gone through NEQA. The stuff that you guys have in school is like leaps and bounds greater than I had in high school. It's not even close. So you guys have a lot of cool things going on there. So take advantage of all of those programs. Anything that you have at school there, if you're interested, no matter what it is, especially technology, you guys have a lot of resources. And I would also say, Linda, if you're welcome to share my email address with the folks here. If anyone wants to ever reach out, you have questions, something you think about later after this that you would like me to answer, be happy to follow up with you and answer any questions you might have after the program. Okay, because sometimes we don't always think of everything. So I guess what I'll do right now is I will go ahead and share my screen. If that's okay, Linda, is that all right? I can do that?
Perfect, yes. Let me know
Cool.
if you need anything.
Sweet. All right, we'll do that real quick. and we'll just cover a couple of slides. Okay. Let's see what this does. Is it gonna let me do that? You guys see that okay?
Yes, we do.
Sweet. All right, so I'm experimenting with the live version of this through Teams, so if it's a little bit weird, bear with me, okay? All right, so that's me, all right? So I started this company, Magnitech, and I think I might jump ahead here, but I started this company 11 and a half years ago. So, and really the reason for starting it was, you know, because I worked for other people. So let me back up. I grew up on the northwest side of Chicago over by O'Hare Airport, and I went to a school in Norwich called Ridgewood High School. That's where I went to school. I graduated before probably some of you have been born, so that's going to make me really feel old. But I graduated high school in 1998. Okay, and you guys will never know about this, but when we were flipping over to the year 2000, there was concern with a lot of old code that was out there running a lot of programs that only had the last 2 digits of the year that flipped, because no one ever considered the fact that we were going to flip to 2000. So code had to be rewritten in a language called COBOL, COBOL, to convert a lot of big systems, governments, things like that, so that when we got to New Year's Day 2000, it would flip properly and not go to 1900. Okay, does that make sense? So that could have like blown up a lot of things. So there was this mad rush to get a lot of people into programming and into coding in the 90s to prepare for that switch. And some of you may or may not know of the movie Office Space. It's kind of an older movie. Came out in the 90s, but it's out there, or your parents have probably heard of it. And that was kind of the central focus of that movie. He was a programmer, hated his job, hated his boss, you know, and they ended up writing a code to, like, you know, steal money from the company and stuff like that. It's just a funny movie. It's just a clever movie, but that's what got me into it. To be honest with you, computers were really not on my radar until I was about 16 years old, 15, 16 years old. And I started getting into games. I wanted to play, you know, the games are so much more sophisticated now, but you guys have all seen those first-person shooter games. And back then, when I was growing up, the games were like really bad. They were very pixelated. The graphics were bad. The sound was bad. I mean, the computer we had took floppy disks, 3.5-inch floppy disks. You guys probably don't even know what they are, because they belong in a museum. Okay, that's how old they are. But the computer was slow. It took forever. There was no real internet at the time. To get out to the internet, you had to use this thing called a dial-up modem, which called like a phone. Like, you guys don't even know what a landline phone probably is, okay? Where you have to dial boop, 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 and it would ring, and just not like a cell phone or mobile phone, because we didn't have those back then, not yet at least. And you had to dial out through a landline, okay, through a line in your house that went out, and you would dial and you would connect to a server somewhere, and it would answer your call, and then it would allow you to connect. And that was, while you were connected, that's when you were able to communicate. And so me and a friend of mine, who he happens to also be our chief architect, he's our top IT guy at Magnitech, we used to live a couple blocks apart, and we would just play games against each other. And so that got me interested in computers. Got a little bit addicted to games, which are easy to do. It's very, very easy to get addicted to this, right? And if you turn around and you just kind of forget it somewhere, you get anxiety, right? Well, same thing with the computer. Like, we were all interested in the computer. And it just became a matter of timing, because I was a teenager in the 90s. And so, you know, computers was the thing, and it was the new thing. It was the new frontier. And that's what all of us wanted to explore. Ended up graduating from Ridgewood and went to DePaul University, and I majored in computer science. And it was there when I learned to code, do a little bit of graphic stuff, learn about databases, learn about statistics, took a lot of math courses, took more math than you could possibly imagine, not to dissuade anybody from going to computer science, but there's gonna be a lot of math. So went through that whole thing. And then I was still into games and playing doing gaming and things like that. And I remember playing in a game where another player in the game was also the server administrator, and he ended up teaching me all of these different commands to find out like where people are connecting from, what their IP address is, how to ban them when they were being difficult and you wanted to like just throw them off your server. He started teaching me some basic ins and outs of server administration. And that really got my attention. So I decided, okay, I kind of lost interest in coding because I'm more of a talkative kind of a guy. I'm not really like a sit in the corner and just code all day with my headphones on. I liked the interaction. I liked talking to people and the collaboration and stuff like that. More of an extrovert. And so DePaul had just created this new concentration called networking. Okay. And it was like firewalls, routers, switches, wireless access points, servers, workstations, the more operation side of things, the things you can touch, not the programs, but making sure people can boot up, they can log in, they can print, they can send files, they can send emails, all of that stuff. That was more interesting to me. So I converted over there and finished my degree, and got my degree in computer science with a networking concentration. And then I got my first job working in corporate America for a company called Aon Corporation, Chicago-based, or at least they used to be. I think they're headquartered out of London now, but Chicago was always their home base, and they're a big-time insurance company. And they put me on their help desk. And so when I'd show up to work, I would put on the headset, people would call me, and I would walk them through things. Well, we're a little bit spoiled now. We've got remote access tools where we can just remote on your computer, move the mouse, and then get out, right? So easy. Well, not back then. We didn't have that. So I had to click on the start menu. I had to go to settings. I had to do all that stuff. And then as I was doing it, relay the same step-by-step to you on the phone so that you can follow along. And I had to use a lot of visual memory to do it. So when I'm saying, okay, tell me what's on your screen right now, they would try to describe it. And I would say, okay, do you see this? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, do you see this? And so eventually I had to learn how to be very patient with that process, because I know that the people that I'm serving are not nearly as technical as I am. And so I have to be patient with them because look, they're already feeling a little bit bummed out that they got to call me in the first place, right? They can't work, they can't get something done, something's not working, they're frustrated, and then they call me, and the last thing they want to hear is me say, "What are you, an idiot?" And start like literally like insulting them over the phone. So I can't do that. I'd probably lose my job, and that's not good. So I had to learn how to be patient. I had to learn how to walk them through things. And really just have a good memory. In the early days of Magnitech, when I was by myself, and I did it all, right? Did the sales, I did the accounting, I did the tech support, you name it, I did it. And there were times where I had to go like to a customer. I had to like get in my car and go drive to their office. And then meanwhile, my cell phone was blowing up because my help desk phone number would go right to my cell phone. So then I'm driving, and of course I'm not on a computer. So I had to walk them through it by memory. That's it. I already knew the operating system. I knew my way around it. Once they started describing the issue, I knew where to go to fix it. And so it just made me really good at remembering. And a lot of what we do in tech support is repetition. So you may not see, you may go every day and you might pick up something new. That's great. And to me, that's an accomplishment. Anytime you come across anything you've never seen before and you end up fixing it and learning something yourself in the process, that's a win. And you feel like you went home and you learned something, and that's great. And that's really what keeps us coming back. There's good days and bad days in IT. especially in tech support. If you're a type of person that's going to be doing support, there's good and bad. Some days you get more tickets or more help desk tickets than you might close in that day. So you might feel like you lost ground. It's like, oh man, I got 20 tickets and I only closed 10. And so you know that your workload's you're gonna be in for it the next day, right? And that's why I explained about one of our pillars today, not tomorrow, and I'll get into that in a minute. But I had to learn how to do all that stuff, and so I worked for that help desk for about a year and a half. Decided that corporate America was not for me, and decided that I would rather work at a place that was a little bit smaller company, right? About 20 people, 30 people. And when you're one of 20 people, you have the ability to make more of an impact. You're more noticeable. You're a higher percentage of the workforce there, right? Think of it that way. The ratios are in your favor. You will get noticed. I think there's this notion that when you work for this big company, like the money's better, and not necessarily. Bigger companies tend to have the same amount of challenges as small companies do, just on a bigger scale. That's all. But overall, it's the same. The company has to make money. The company can't spend more than it takes in. The same type of disciplines that we have, okay, in life. So decided I wanted to go to a small company. And this company was based out of Phoenix, Arizona. And they did a thing called managed services. So what's managed services? I will go ahead and move to the next slide. Can you see that, what we do? Do you guys see that? Okay, good. So we basically manage services as an outsourced IT department. Okay, so think of it this way. Let's say you're working at a company, and you have all these positions like I mentioned before. You've got guys, you have customer service people, you have sales people, you have accounting people, you have customer service, you name it, right? Lawyers, you have attorneys. And then there's an IT department, let's say, right? So you've got your staff, you've got, let's say 20 people in that IT department. Like when I worked at Aon, we had that department was all internal. So we had all these people working there. And so what we did, and if you think about it, every single person in that department got paid. They got a salary, they got benefits, right? They got health insurance, dental insurance, vision, 401k, so they can put a little money aside for one day when they retire. All of those benefits exist at most companies. But with us, the way we do things here, and this is where I got the idea when I worked for this company in Phoenix, is we could offer you that IT department for all types of businesses. So if a company has about 40 or 50 people, every time they want to hire an IT guy, that's expensive, right? And they may not have enough work for that one person or two people or three people to do, because it's just they're a smaller group. But for less money than it would cost to pay somebody full time, they could hire us, and we would charge a fixed amount, a flat fee. It could be whatever per month, and we do all of these things for you. We do your help desk. We install all of your laptops and your computers and iPads and servers, and we create the email addresses for you, get you set up on email. Make sure you can log in, make sure you print, do all that stuff. We handle all of the day-to-day technology needs for that company. So we have 25 people on staff in Illinois, and we've got a few folks in Florida, and we handle clients all over the country. And so rather than them hire those people and have to deal with it, because hiring is very, very difficult, they just say, look, we're just going to pay you this much and you're going to take care of everything. And we say, yes, we will. Absolutely. So that's what we do. Let me go through the story real quick, right? So I worked for these companies throughout my 20s, and right before I turned 30, I started Magnitech, okay? And so I started in 2010, and I was by myself. I did it all. And so the one thing I would say, if anybody wants to go into business for themselves one day, I don't think there's anything wrong with working at a few different places early in your career, so that you get an understanding and you get a taste of what it's like out there. Because not every company is the same. Not every experience is the same. You may not like your boss. You may not like your coworkers. It's not like school, right? You're going to like some teachers better than others. You're going to like some people better than others. That's like work. No different. The big difference is you get paid, right? But you also got bills, right? You got to feed yourself. You got to live somewhere and pay rent or pay a mortgage, right? It gets a little more complicated, but same idea. You have a task list. You got things to do every day, and you have to do it. And so my job was really to do everything because I didn't have anybody else to like hand the work off to. I couldn't afford it, right? I started and I had 2 customers out of the gate. I got really lucky and got 2 customers right out of the gate. But I didn't have enough money to hire somebody else. It was going to take a long time. I had to really bring in enough revenue, enough money to be able to support not only myself, because I had to pay myself, but pay somebody else, right? So it took me 3 years to get there, and we hired our first employee. Of course, I screwed that up and didn't know what I was doing. It's one thing to be able to know how to be a good IT guy, but it's a whole other story to learn how to run a company. And there were a lot of skills that were needed that I didn't have. So I ended up really asking a lot of questions. I think the best advice I can give anybody here is that if you don't know, it's okay. Ask questions. I am honored and thrilled every time folks like yourself, young folks like yourself, come to me and ask me questions. That's important. It means that you're interested. It means you want to learn. It means you want to develop. And if you don't ask questions, I assume you already know. So if I say, here you go, go ahead and get this done, and then you're just going to look at me and be like, huh? I like when people ask me questions because they want to get better. But I screwed this one up. I hired this young man and didn't really mentor him properly. I was so busy myself, working on all the customers and getting everything working. I didn't have time to really train this guy. And I brought him in to help sell and get more customers. But I didn't really have time for him because I was doing all the IT work, So we had to sort of divide and conquer, and unfortunately that didn't work. And I learned a lot of lessons from that, right? Never get too down on yourself when you make mistakes. I always say, use them as an opportunity to get better, right? There's always a lesson to be learned when we make mistakes. There's a reason why they put erasers on pencils. It's not forever, right? And it's okay to admit when you need help, okay? And the same would apply even to school. And I'm sure the school wouldn't like me saying this much, but it's important that you do your best, okay? That's all that matters, okay? As someone who hires people, do I sit there and ask what their GPA was? No, I don't. I really don't. You graduated. That's important. That's good, okay? But I don't care if you got a B or you got a D in something your sophomore or junior year. Don't care. Okay, it's really how you finish. It's not how you start, or it's not where you are in the journey, but it's how you finish. And if you finish and you graduated and you're ready to go, I'm ready to go. And that's the way I see it, So I realize the schools sometimes put a lot of pressure on you guys. I'm telling you, I probably share a similar sentiment with a lot of other employers out there that will tell you, don't beat yourself up too much. In a few years, this won't matter. What matters is that you guys are developing and getting better and getting stronger. And you challenge yourself. Hold yourself to a standard. Don't hold yourself to other standards. Hold yourself to your own standard, okay? And you'll be fine. Anyway, moving on. So a year later, I moved the company to Naperville officially. I moved to Naperville from the Northwest side, like I described, in 2012. At the time, I had it was just myself, my wife, and my young daughter, who was only 2 years old at the time. And we moved to Naperville, in South Naperville, and we've not been in the same house, but we've been in the same neighborhood ever since, going on 10 years. But in 2014, I had enough money, and we signed a really nice client, a military contractor, and they're still with me to this day. And it was enough money where I can say, okay, look, I need an office now. I need a presence, because I didn't have enough money to hire people, but I had enough money to hire interns. Okay. And at the time, they were only paid $10 an hour. Okay, which is decent money for an intern. I think our going rate these days is about $13 or $14 an hour is what we pay interns. And I hired interns, ones that were had just graduated college, and they would spend the summer with me, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of see how they would perform, and then I would offer them full-time employment, let's say at the end of the summer. But it was a nice way for me to sort of break some people in and get them used to what I was doing, and then I could train them. And what I ended up doing when some of my interns would take a phone call from a client is I would have another headset connected to the phone where I could hear what the client's saying. And I can, obviously, because I was on a knee, I was like kneeling down next to their desk, so I could hear what my intern was saying. Or better yet, they would mute their phone, and then I would say this. And then they would turn around and unmute, and they would say it. And then they would mute their phone again, and I would hear what the client would say. And then I would say, okay, say this. And then they would unmute their phone and say that. And meanwhile, they drove. I didn't touch the mouse. I let them do their thing. And I kind of showed them where to go, but it gave the interns an opportunity to work on a real issue with a real client without them knowing, meaning the client, knowing that I'm actually the one kind of pulling the strings, but they are gaining confidence now in my intern. They think my intern's doing all the work, and they were driving, but I was coaching at the same time. And this is how I was able to develop their skills. Because one thing I can tell you, and I think the college curriculum is a lot better than it used to be when I was coming through the system. Because when I was going through the system, this was all new. I talked about COBOL and all this old ancient stuff that nobody knows about anymore. But it was very, very expensive for DePaul to acquire servers and routers and things for us to do in the lab. We just didn't have it. So it was a lot of classroom, a lot of theory, a lot of whiteboard, a lot of drawing pictures, like this is how things are connected. But then you end up showing up to your job and you're just like looking at this stuff and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And that will happen. It'll happen. It happens with all kinds of jobs. I mean, and so you're going to learn a lot of stuff on the job. Companies are going to come in and they're going to be like, look, I'm glad you have a vocabulary. I'm glad you kind of have an idea of what this stuff does. But here, we're going to show you our way of doing it. And this is how it should be done. And this is how we want it done. And you're going to learn based on that. And usually the way it works is you come in as like an entry-level person, and somebody more senior will take you under their wing and they'll teach you. And that's usually how it goes. That's how it went for me. Anyway, 2017, we had 5 employees. And we built out the private cloud. I'm sure you guys have heard of Google Classroom. It's at school, right? You guys know about it. That's all cloud-based stuff, right? So the cloud means it's hosted somewhere other than the physical premise where you are. Does that make sense? So like if I'm sitting here in my house, I don't have servers sitting in my house. I don't. I use the internet to go to another facility where the servers are. That's the cloud. Simple as that, right? So we built our own private cloud, which means it's private to us. We manage and maintain it, and only our customers use it. So the public cloud would be like Microsoft 365, Google, Facebook has their own cloud, Amazon has a cloud. They provide services to the public. Anybody can sign up for that. So that's the difference between public cloud and private cloud. And then we started offering hardware as a service. So that means we would buy laptops and then we would rent them to our customers for a monthly fee. So we would say, all right, you don't want to buy a laptop for $2,000? No problem. We're going to rent you a computer for say $60 a month, and then you use our computer, and then we are responsible to maintain them. If they break, we fix them. If a part fails, we'll replace it. But you pay a monthly fee, and we give you the computer. And so moving on, then we got to 2020. We applied in our industry to a competition or a survey where you had probably over 1,000 companies that do what we do or something similar into this program. And after we filled out our survey and inputted all of the things we do and, you know, how much money we charge people and how many employees we have and stuff like that, spits out a ranking. And we were fortunate enough to be number 48 in the world and the 501 was the cut. And we got to 48. We were number 3 in Illinois on that survey. So we were ecstatic about it. I wasn't expecting to rank that high because the previous year we applied, didn't make it. But they changed the program and they made it less about big companies, like kind of like flashing their money. And, you know, just because you have a lot more money doesn't make you better, right? It doesn't mean that the customer service is better. It doesn't mean that your techs are smarter. It doesn't mean anything. It just means you have a lot of money, okay? We applied again the next year for 2021 and we got to 45. So we moved up 3 slots and got to number 2 in Illinois. We are in the process right now. We are going through that process right now for this year, for 2022. And the submissions have to be in, I want to say, by the first week of June. So we are close to having everything submitted, and then we'll see what happens. So maybe I hope we don't go backwards, because that would be kind of a bummer. But we're optimistic we're going to move up the chain. And then we also now have over 20 employees, and we've got a few folks down in Florida. For some of you who have been to Florida, our focus right now is in the southwest portion of the state, down by like Naples, Fort Myers, down there, if anybody's ever been to Florida. All right, moving on. This is on our north wall, and I'm sorry if it's kind of a blurry picture, but it was the best we can do. We were looking for the PDF, we couldn't find it, so we just went and took a picture of it and put it in the slides. But this is something that sits on our north wall in our office, okay? It's our value system. And you can see that just like any house, you need a strong foundation. And foundation is we own it, okay? What we mean by that is, have you ever heard the expression like, you know, no matter what happens, you should own it, take responsibility, own it, right? That's what it means, right? And we apply that to everything, to, you know, how you show up to work that day, you know, the kind of mood you're in, how you go about your business, own it individually, own who you are, okay? But as a company, we own it. There are times where customers will call us and they will ask us to do something that we maybe don't do. We don't just blow them off and point back and say, no, you know what? We don't handle this. You got to call somebody else for that. Or you got to call Comcast if your internet goes down, or you have to call. No, we own it. We call, right? It may not be something that we can fix directly, but we will get you to the finish line. It's customer service, okay? And then some of our pillars, right? Us first. We believe at Magnitech that, you know, it's about us. They always say the customer is always right, but I call BS on that, right? I say that it's about us. And if we give ourselves a good experience, okay, and we're happy, we will directly transfer that happiness and those good vibes to our clients. Absolutely, it happens, okay? As opposed to like me not liking my job, not liking my boss, not liking my commute, you know, and then somebody calls me and I'm in a bad mood and then I, you know, call them an idiot and then I get fired, right? So we can't have that. So we try to make sure at the very least that we try to take care of our own. That second pillar is kind of tight. It's hard to read, but it says, teach the job you have, learn the job you want. Okay, very simple. If you want to move up in the company, then teach somebody beneath you how to do the job that you want to let go of so that you have an opportunity to move up and take the job that you want to promote yourself to, okay? We don't believe in standing in anybody's way, okay? We want to build a culture that promotes growth and building a career. It's not just a job, okay? But if you want it, go get it, okay? Tell me what you want. That's great. Now, who could you mentor to kind of, because somebody's got to do your job, right? Who can we hire beneath you that you can teach your job to so that you can learn from that senior person above you that you want to get to, if you want to get to that level. Hey, I want to be like so-and-so. Perfect. So-and-so will train you because you know what? They want to teach their job to you so they can try to one day maybe sit in my seat. That's the type of thing we're trying to promote. Serve the community, right? That's our third pillar. As you can see, I'm serving the community right now, right? There's no money in this for me at all. But, and that's not why I do it. I do it because it's one of our values. And Magnitech is very involved in the community. We do a lot of things around town. We sponsor a lot of events. We sponsor a lot of charity or not-for-profit organizations in town. Those things matter to us because we like to give back. The community's been good to us, so we want to be good back to the community. And I think that's important. It's a good ecosystem. Okay. Today, not tomorrow. I talk about that. Look, you know, our shop closes at 5 o'clock every day, right? Monday through Friday. But if you know that you got about 15 minutes more of work to just accomplish these tasks, don't put it off till tomorrow. This applies to school too. Okay. Tomorrow is going to bring its own set of challenges. Okay. You know, you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to get a whole new set of workload. You're going to get this whole new workload. Okay. Don't procrastinate and take anything from the previous day and carry it over into the next day, because it's just going to pile on and it's going to become a source of anxiety for you. So you don't want to do that, right? If you know, hey, listen, I'm going to cut out of here in about 15 more minutes. I just got to finish something. Do it, because you know what? When you do, you're going to shut down for the day and you're going to leave and you're going to feel better about yourself. Okay. And I get it. Sometimes, you know, you may have dinner reservations or you have somewhere you got to be, and okay, fine. There's circumstances. But we firmly believe that if you can accomplish something today, do it today. Tomorrow's not guaranteed to anybody. Okay. Protect the castle. We talk about that as the institution. The castle is Magnitech. It's a metaphor, but it's a metaphor for a couple of things. One, the business itself, the institution itself. Protect Magnitech as an employee of Magnitech, but also protect your colleagues, right? Protect the people around you. If you pick up a tech support call and someone said, hey, so-and-so said this, and you kind of know that that doesn't sound like he would say something like that, you know, don't be so quick to judge and throw that person under the bus and like maybe say the opposite thing. Say, you know what, I'm going to look into that. I'm going to see what he meant by that, and I'm going to get back to you, right? Never throw your colleagues and your teammates under the bus, right? Because at the end of the day, we're a team. We're in this together, okay? And you never, you know, for all of you here that have siblings, right? I mean, I had an older sister growing up. I've got 3 kids here now. Yeah, once in a while they're fighting and you know, not getting along and stuff like that. But out there in public, outside the house, they're united, and that's how we have to be as a team, okay? And then be awesome. And that's anybody's interpretation. I say that word a lot. Awesomeness to me is, you know, going outside your comfort zone, delivering on something that, you know, was extra. You know, it wasn't necessarily part of your job, but you saw something through and, you know, you elevated your game and you did something that I would consider to be awesome, right? Challenge yourself to be awesome every day, okay? And peace of mind is the roof over your head. That's what we're trying to get to. That's what we're trying to achieve. And it takes a lot of work with these values and the pillars to keep that roof up, okay? If the foundation blows up, it all comes crashing down, right? So if we don't own it, these pillars don't matter. If the pillars, you know, knock over, the roof comes crashing down. So this is constant work and a constant reminder of who we are as a company. And you can apply these standards to whatever you want, but we incorporated it in our everyday speech at Magnitech. And it started with me, right? It started with me talking about that over and over and over again, to the point now where, you know, most people in my company talk like this. I don't have to say anything. You know, they'll all say, hey, you know, us first, or they'll say, protect the castle, or they'll say, hey, we're going to own it. You know, like when I hear that, I'm walking like down the hall and I can kind of hear somebody saying that. I'm like, oh, that feels good. That's nice. They believe it. They believe it. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. I love it, because if they do it, they're going to see the results. Results take the right activities to achieve them. Okay. So don't think that the work you're doing is meaningless. There is an end game. Okay. So let's move on, because I think we're getting tight on time. I talk too much. All right. So about me personally. So I'm married. My wife's name is Jenny. I have 3 kids. Ava, she goes to Gregory Middle School, and she'll be going to, you know, we're in the Nequa territory. My son TJ, that's Tim Jr., he is in 2nd grade at Springbrook Elementary School. And Carly, my youngest, she's 5. She's finishing up preschool, and she's going to start kindergarten at Springbrook in the fall. Again, I mentioned I went to DePaul. Computer science was my major. And I started Magnitech after kind of spending my 20s, like the first 8 years of my career, working for other people. And that's where I decided, okay, this is what I like about working here. This is what I don't like about working here. This is what I like about my manager. This is what I don't like about my manager. This is what I like about where the office is or what the office looks like, and this is what I don't like. And I used those experiences to develop Magnitech. I decided to manage in a way that I wanted to be managed, or work in an environment that I wanted to work in. And so that was the culture that I built. And it's not for everybody, right? It can get a little loud in my office at times because I'm a, kind of a chatterbox, but it's just the company and the office take on the personality usually of its founder. It's usually how it goes, right? Because I'm there all the time. Like I'm kind of a rat, like an office rat. Like I'm there quite a bit. So it's going to be suitable to my surrounding. I want my surroundings to be suitable to my environment. We've got a putting green. We brew our own cold brew nitro coffee. We've got, the kid, they all wanted me to put up a Nerf basketball hoop at one point, and I haven't done it because I told them they had to close a bunch of tickets for them to do it, and they didn't meet the goal. So I'm like, oh, I didn't buy it. But if you close a certain amount of tickets in a week, I'll go buy it. Like Monday, it'll be up. I'll put it up. So just like parents, just like dad, like, hey, if you do this for me, I'll do this, So they get it. It's a good relationship that we have together with each other. So again, I talked about doing your best, right? And there's a saying, good is the enemy of great. Remember that, right? We believe in greatness because magna is a Latin root word for great, right? To enhance, to make bigger, magnify, right? We think big or magnificent, or it's big. It stands for great. So great technology, great tech, right? That's what Magnitech means. So I don't settle for good. I like great. And I say great a lot around the office. And I challenge people all the time to be their best. And of course, I started Magnitech knowing that, that I had to show up every day at 100% to grow and scale, right? And I knew that I could not settle for, for being lackadaisical or lazy or whatever. And we have our good days and bad days, even me. Don't think I'm not a machine. I'm a human being. I have emotions. I have a family. I have concerns, just like everybody else. Pressure, stress, it all exists. But we have to figure out how to beat that sometimes, right? So I spend, a lot of time working on myself as well, right? Before I go to work, I make sure I get a workout in, right? I get some oxygen and some blood to my brain, right? Which helps me all day long. Right? If I just show up and roll out of bed and take a shower and then just go to work and I'm still sitting there yawning and drinking coffee at my desk and not talking to anybody for the first hour, I'm doing nobody any favors. So what I like to do is I get up a little earlier, I do a little run on the treadmill, or I get on the elliptical, or whatever. Weather's getting nice out. You guys can go out and do a quick little run around the block, maybe just to get the blood moving, and then and that usually helps me perform. But that's what works for me. Your mileage may vary, but figure out ways that you can actually, maybe meditate or sit quietly and think about things, or, just figure out ways to blow off a little bit of steam. I think it helps. All right. So I'll also say have a mentor, right? This is along those pillars. Teach the job you have, learn the job you want. I have a coach. I don't have all the answers. I actually have a guy who is older than me. He's about, I think he said he was going to be about 65 this year. Rick Lochner, you know who he is, Linda. He's my coach, right? He's also an active chamber member. And I meet with Rick every month, and I tell him everything that's on my mind. I bounce a lot of ideas off of him. I bring issues to him. I will say it's lonely at the top sometimes, right? When you're at the top and you're the boss and you're the guy that runs the place, it's not very easy for me to pull an employee into my office and tell them what's bothering me. They're not. It's not going to resonate for them. They're not going to understand. They're in a different place in their life, so they don't quite understand that. But Rick does, right? He's older than me. He's been where I am, so he can understand some of my challenges, just like with my employees. Like I know where they are. I've walked in their shoes. I've been where they are. They can tell me whatever and I can understand it. So I think it's very important to have a coach. Always have somebody that you can talk to. Somebody who's not emotionally connected to the issue itself, right? Our parents can sometimes be emotional because They want to see us succeed. They don't want to see us fail. They could be judgmental, right? I still have, my mom, I know all about that. She still treats me like I'm 15 years old. So, I mean, it is what it is, but it's good to have somebody that's not connected to it, who can give you a good, non-emotional, unbiased opinion. Okay. And ultimately, you still have to make the decision for yourself, but it's good to have somebody you can talk to. I also say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. As the boss, okay, I am empowering my people to give me their ideas, tell me what they want to do, because they have to buy in, they have to own it, right? So, like, for example, the vacation policy at Magnitech. My director of HR came up to me and said, Tim, what do you want the policy to be for paid time off? We call it PTO. What do you want that to be? And I just looked at her and I said, well, why don't you write it? You're an employee. Tell me what you think it should be. And if I can agree to it, I'll sign off on it. But you're the one, you guys are going to be the ones that are going to have to live with it. Like, I'm the boss. I can kind of go, or I can come and go really whenever I want, right? I have the freedom to leave whenever. I don't have to tell anybody I'm going somewhere. I just go, right? But you guys have to deal with it. So you tell me what you want, right? And I give them the buy-in. I allow them to buy in, or I allow them to offer and bring the solution to me, okay? I always tell people, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. I'm gonna challenge you, okay? And if you really just don't know, that's fine. Please don't do nothing because you don't have a solution. If you've kicked it around and you just don't have it, let's talk about it. I love to problem solve, but don't just come to me without trying to figure it out. Like, think about it a little bit. Think about what you can do to, to get through this. The lessons you can learn from the people in front of you that have already done it are invaluable, right? Just like I said before, the people above you, if you want to rise to the people, if you look up to somebody in the company or in the organization, you're like, I want to be like that guy, okay? Approach them, have no fear, approach them and say, hey, would you like to, will you spend like maybe an hour with me? Maybe we can get coffee, or we can do something, and we can talk a little bit about, I want to learn from you. It's quite a feeling when somebody tells you that. If somebody comes to me and says, I want to learn from you, I'm going to be like, wow, like, that feels good. It's my pleasure to teach you as much as I can, because I don't want to do those jobs anyway. Like, if you want to do that, I'd be happy to teach you how to do that, because then that frees me up to do the things I really want to do. I'm still developing. I'm the founder and CEO of the company, but I'm in no ways a finished product. I'm not. I learn every day. We're always going to be students. So, if I can teach somebody else to do some of the jobs that are keeping me away from being the CEO I want to be, then that pillar applies to me as well. I absolutely want those people. And I say learning new skills gives you the opportunity to teach the skills you already know. And of course, always be curious and agile in your career development. And then creating the culture of success. We talk about, the culture at Magnitech, and we use a survey, right, called Culture Index. I know I'm getting really tight on time, Linda. I'm going to try to wrap. This is the last slide, and I'm going to wrap this up. But we use this thing called Culture Index. Maybe some of you in high school, I think things have changed. Maybe some of you have gone through heard of like Myers-Briggs, or the 16 personalities, these traits of like who you are. We put people through that stuff. Why? Because if I'm hiring somebody for sales, I may not want somebody who doesn't like people. Some people just don't like to talk to other people, and that's okay. They're independent. They stay to themselves. They're quiet. They just get things done. They just knock things out, right? They're task people, and that's fine. I'm not going to make you a salesperson, because you're just not going to want to do that job anyway. You're going to fail at it because it doesn't fit with your personality. It's not a passion, right? I try to find out what people's passions are, and I put them in those roles, and that will make them successful, because really then you're not working at all. You're doing what you love. It's amazing. That's how you do it, right? So you should be interviewing the company just like they're interviewing you, right? Exactly. We utilize this tool, again, to find the right person for the right position, but then we also do it so that we can learn about each other, right? We take these posters with a graph, and we hang it outside everyone's office or desk. So when you approach that person, hey, Isha is an extrovert. She likes to talk. So she would prefer that I actually walk up to her and start talking to her. not that she can't respond to a Teams message or an email. She can, but she would also probably, I'm just guessing, Isha, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just using it as an example. But you may ask me on Monday, hey, Tim, how was your weekend? You genuinely may care to know for 5 minutes as we talk what my weekend was like. And you might want to share what your weekend was like. Other people, they're not going to open up like that. Like so they're just going to go to their desk and sit down. They would prefer that maybe I would send them a Teams message about something. Why? Because then they have an opportunity to think about the answer. I'm not putting them on the spot. Where with people who are a little more extroverted, they can think on their feet a little bit faster. It's just the way they are, right? They can talk and they can kind of weave and move and bob and weave and kind of get their way to the answer by talking out loud. So company culture is very important to Magnitech, and that's we talk about the Magnitech experience. When I'm trying to sell to clients and trying to get them to buy from me as opposed to my competitors, I'll say, a lot of the companies do exactly what we do, right? They do tech support, they do antivirus, they do backups of data, they do all these things, but it's the personalities, it's the experience you get working with us versus working with these guys. Who would you rather work with? Who do you feel will get you to your goals? Us or them? It becomes like that, right? And so we mention that all the time. Creating a place where people want to be allows for more retention, great employees, a positive workplace, and a successful client experience. Again, if you like where you work and you enjoy the experience, you're never going to want to leave. That's the way I look at it. Okay, because it's work on my part too. It's not just the people who work at Magnitech that have to prove themselves. I have to prove myself to you that that this is the right company for you still. We all have a job to do. So culture definitely matters in order to succeed, learn, and grow. And with that, questions. You guys can ask away. I know we're kind of at the end here, but I'm happy to stay, Linda, and answer any questions anybody may have for us. That's it. I guess that's my spiel. Day to day, again, I work out, I go in, I do my work, I'm available to my people. I empower them to make decisions. I allow them to do their jobs. I don't look over their shoulder and micromanage them and say, no, do this, no, do that. That's not me. I realize that, hey, listen, here's my expectation. This is what you need to do. If you have any questions, come and see me. But otherwise, if I'm not hearing from you, I'm assuming you got it. And I let them do their work. So, and then I go home, I come home and, I like to golf. I'm a member at Crest Creek Country Club. So sometimes on Fridays in the summer, they become my summer hours. So I put in more time Monday through Thursday, and then Friday I kind of play hooky and I play golf and I try to meet people and try to get new customers. And that's part of my job now, right? I'm not sitting there doing the tech support anymore. I know we didn't cover that, but I don't sit around doing the tech support anymore. I'm more of now, I guess, a salesperson or a marketing person. Like I'm out there now marketing my company. I'm marketing myself. I'm getting people interested in working with Magnitech. Okay, and then when I draw those people in, I have a salesperson who then works the process to try to convert them into a customer, a paying customer. But my job now is to just be the face of the company, manage people, make sure people have what they need to be successful, empower them to make an impact. And then I'm out here, talking to, young folks like you and trying to inspire you to be a better version of yourself. So that's really what I do these days.
That's great. Thank you, Tim. I do have a question, Linda, if
Sure.
that's we can. Okay. So like you said that there's like a setback when you had it with your first employee. So like with your with your entrepreneurial journey, because I'm really interested in that type.
Yeah.
With your first setback in your business, how did you kind of like get back into that entrepreneurial mindset and like keep going with it?
Well, it's a good question. Look, I remember being so overjoyed when I hired my first person because it was an opportunity now, like my hard work has enabled me now to hire someone where now they can earn money for their family and put food on the table and stuff like that. And that was a great feeling for me. And I took it just as hard when it didn't work out. I don't take those things lightly. We spend more time, more waking hours at least, with our colleagues at work than we do at home, with our families. It's just the way it is. Sometimes when I get home, it's 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, and my kids are in bed by 9:30. So, maybe 3.5 hours I have with them. So we spend a lot of time together. So I take it hard sometimes when it doesn't work out. But I also realized I had to get back on the horse. I mean, we didn't, I failed that person. And it's not their fault all the time. It's sometimes my fault. I take responsibility. I take ownership. But I learned from those experiences. And that's why I talked about the eraser and the pencil earlier. You have to learn from your mistakes. You have to. You can't repeat your mistakes over and over and over again. You have to take inventory with yourself and understand kind of what happened there and what can I do different next time. Even when, anytime anything goes bad, I always say it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to get better. You might have failed a test. You might have, underachieved on some assignments. Your grade may not be exactly where you want it to be. Be honest with yourself. Hold yourself accountable. Ask yourself, is there anything I could have done differently to produce a different outcome? Okay. Yeah, our parents may be hard on us, our teachers may be hard on us, counselors and stuff like that. And you might be putting that pressure on yourself. But always ask yourself, did I give it the maximum effort? Right? Did I try my best? Only you guys know that, right? And with this guy, I wish I could have had a do-over. But he got another job quickly. It's not like he went poor and couldn't eat. He found another job more suitable to where he was at, and he got more support. In those early days when it was just me, and I was, then there was 2, and then there was 3. Yeah, maybe there wasn't a lot of support, by me, because I was stretched very thin too, like trying to make sure the customer network stayed online, making sure customers' tickets were getting done. I wasn't focusing so much on Magnitech as I was focusing on the customers, because there was only so many hours in a day, right? It just took a little bit of luck, right? You had to get clients that were willing to be patient and work through it as I was, trying to grow my company. And just learn from mistakes. Use the coach, right? I've always had a coach, and sometimes I'd leave those sessions with tears because the guy beat me up for 4 hours, in our coaching session. Like I would come in there all hot about things I wanted to do and all this stuff. I had these illusions of grandeur, I wanted to be like Google and have a chef and dry cleaning and a cool office and all this stuff. And everyone's like, whoa, hold up there, son. You're by yourself and you don't have an office and you barely pay yourself. So not that they were trying to discourage me, but they're saying, you are miles and miles down the road thinking, what are you going to do what are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do in an hour? Do you have an idea? Have you planned your day? No, not really. I mean, I was thinking way ahead of where I needed to be. And so sometimes you got to be in the present, but it's always good to be forward thinking as well. So, and have your coach, have somebody that you can bounce things off of and get better, because I don't even have the answers. I don't. I have a lot of mentors to this day who are 10 years older than me, 15 years older than me, and I'll text them like, hey, I'm dealing with this new issue. This has never happened to me before. Have you been through this? And they're like, oh yeah, totally. Here's what you should expect. This will happen. This might happen. This might happen. This might happen. And that's it. So always make sure that you have somebody that you can bounce things off of, have a mentor. That would be my advice.
Thank you.
So I think Linda put my email address there in the chat. Please take that down. Shoot me an email anytime. If you think of anything and you want to ask questions. The one thing I will say, if you guys get to college and you guys are deciding, okay, I'm going to start my college education, and the first thing they're going to be like, so what do you want your major to be? And if you don't know, that's fine. I would always say that if you want to pick something, a good place to be is business. If I can offer any piece of advice, get a good business foundation. Your passion is your passion. You will find whatever that is over time, right? It could be art. It could be one of the sciences. It could be IT, right? But if you have a good business foundation, see, I went the other way around. I went through computer science and I learned my craft, but then I didn't really know how to run a business, right? And that's why I ended up hiring the coaches and trying to get a business degree well, son is moving here, sorry, get a business degree, you know, really through work, through osmosis. Like I was just trial and error, right? Like I would make mistakes and figure it out. Well, sometimes mistakes can be very costly, but it also added good experience for me. So, you know, I think, what was it, Master Yoda in Star Wars, who told Luke Skywalker, you know, the best teacher failure is, you know, it's true. When you fail, do you learn from it and get better? Michael Jordan, who played before you guys can remember, but it's all on YouTube, okay? He missed a lot of shots, a lot of big shots. You know, I think if you make 40% of your shots, you're like a Hall of Famer, okay? So, and I don't think he made, I mean, sometimes he did, but I mean, that 6 out of every 10 shots were a brick. I mean, think about that. He didn't always make them, but he was an opportunist. He always put himself in a position where he knew I would make those high percentage shots. Like I always put myself in the right position because I know I can make those shots. The other ones were a risk and I might miss, but that's how you learn.
Right. Thank you, Tim. That was so inspiring. Linda, is there anything else we need to cover up on or?
No, I think that's everything. Again, Tim, thank you so much for, my goodness, thank you so much for your expertise and the email. I have put it in the chat. Again, everyone, if you have any other questions for Tim, please reach out. And thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Be on the lookout for more of our upcoming events. And yes, thank you, everyone.
All right. Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Tim.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.